Hey, what's up, sports bettors? It is Matt Modi, aka Jedi Modi, here with OddsJam. Keeping it pretty simple in this video, I'm just giving you count it, four player props for this week of NFL football. Week 4, specifically for NFL Sunday. So the Thursday night game going on tonight, if you're watching this on Thursday. Ton of content out there for the game tonight. Betting previews, player props, even a same game parlay. So make sure to check all that stuff out on the YouTube channel. For this video, like I said, we are locking in 4 NFL Week 4 player props for NFL Sunday. So whenever I'm specifically betting on player props, of course I use OddsJam. I use the positive expected value page. But another thing that is very important to use is a tool like this one, this OddsJam Props app. So if you have any iOS store, iPhone, iPad, desktop, whatever, you can download this OddsJam Props app. It's pretty cool. It just gives you a bunch of historical data for the player props. It's really as simple as that. So like if I wanted to lock in Josh Allen passing yards, it tells me exactly how often he goes over or under this number in his career. All games, last 25, last 10, last 5, home, away, in a win, and a loss. And then you can also filter for the under if you are looking to fade a certain player prop. So make sure to go ahead, download the OddsJam Props NFL app. It's very, very helpful. It's also not just for the NFL. When NBA season starts, you'll be able to use this as well. Obviously, we use it during MLB season. So download the OddsJam Props app. It is coming soon for the Android. Another thing, before I get started, is if you wouldn't mind checking out the OddsJam podcast, as you see here, Sweat the Bet, presented by OddsJam. It's hosted by myself and Andrew Kim, aka the Parlay Doc. Every week we come out with one episode previewing, giving analysis of the best games of that week, and then at the very end we give our 3 best bets as well. I am 6-2-1 on my best bets, so it has gone pretty well. So if you want to get those, obviously, the new episode is out for week 4, so make sure to check that out, Sweat the Bet, on any podcast platform. But for this video, let's get into it. Let's lock in some player props. So I'm on OddsJam, and the first play that I saw here was Chase Claypool over 38.5 receiving yards. So not a ton of books have posted player props yet, but this is one that I really, really liked. So I will get ahead of this. This is a number that Claypool hasn't gone over yet this season. Obviously, very concerning. Mitchell Trubisky has been brutal. But with that said, the New York Jets defense is a remedy for any poor offense. They are the 32nd ranked defense in the entire NFL. 32nd ranked, that also means the literal worst. So if there's any game in which they can get their offense going, get someone like Claypool to go off, it is against the Jets. More importantly, the math heavily favors this player prop as well. So the way it works is OddsJam collects all of this historical data, back tests it, uses that to determine which books are the best at pricing odds. Once that determination is made, they create a weighted average to remove the VIG from all of those books, which is what you see right here, the no VIG odds. In this case, all of these sharp books price this at about minus 102. Caesars is offering it at plus 102. That gap gives you your EV percent, gives you your profit margin. Also pretty cool, and this is new, tells you your recommended bet size right here. So for me, based on my bankroll, telling me to bet about $110. For me, that is about 1 unit. So that is exactly what I'll put on this one. I'll put 1 unit on Chase Claypool to go over 38.5 receiving yards. Bet has been locked in. So aside from the math, right, there are other things that we need to look for. Number one, if you click a play here, it pulls up where every sportsbook prices that play. And the reason why I like this one so much, the reason why I'm putting a unit on it, which is a lot for a player prop, normally I try to keep my player props at half a unit, is look at where the other books price this prop at. 38.5, DraftKings has that at minus 120, has the under at minus 110. They're favoring the over. They're basically saying, we think that over 38.5 receiving yards is the more likely scenario, so we're going to make that more expensive to buy. The OddsJam line, Pinnacle Sportsbook, same thing. Minus 118, the under at minus 112, favoring this over at minus 118. If you open up the event page in a new tab, it pulls up where every other book prices this player prop at. And as we can see, Prize Picks has it at 39.5, Underdog has it at 40.5, and Tipico has it at 41.5. Every sportsbook is telling you his receiving yardage over under should be priced higher than 38.5. And we are getting it at plus 102 on Caesars. That is awesome value. That is a great play, which is why I locked it in for a full unit. Now, again, for handicapping reasons, it's a little bit concerning because he's yet to go over it this year, over this number. But if he's ever going to do it, if the offense is ever going to get going, it would be against the Jets. So this next one, and it looks like a couple more popped up that I'll have to check out, that I wanted to highlight is this Darren Waller under 47.5 receiving yards. So checking out the OddsJam Props app, he has gone over this in 2 of the 3 games. So he's gone under it in 1, which was also their last one. But they're going up against one of the best defenses in the NFL in the Denver Broncos. We saw what the Broncos just did to Jimmy G. Now, obviously, I'm not expecting Derek Carr to have the worst performance a human being's ever had at quarterback like Jimmy G did, but that's still a very good defense. So I get it. Carr has struggled to get the ball to all of his targets. The random players like Mac Hollins has been going off. Like Devontae Adams has been disappointing as well. I think probably they're going to try and get him going after 2 disappointing weeks in a row. They're also 0-3, so they need to get going. So this one I can understand from a football perspective. From a math perspective, it's plus EV. Your profit margin on this one is a little bit lower. So instead of 2.15%, this one is at 0.81%. But if you open up the plays, or all the books are pricing it, same thing. We see a pretty awesome value on this under 47.5. BetMGM favoring the under. DraftKings has that about even money, but Pinnacle Sportsbook also favoring the under. And then PrizePicks has the same implied odds for every place. You can ignore them being minus 137, minus 119 each way. But 2 of the 3 books are telling you we think that the under is the more likely scenario. The other book, DraftKings, has that about 50-50, and they're pricing it at plus. Caesars is pricing it at plus 102, giving you plus money for it. Again, if you open this up in a new tab, we see that the other books pricing it. By other books, it's just underdog, but they are pricing it at 46.5, have it at 46.5. So same exact logic as a previous play. Not as good of a value. You see the recommended bet size is only 40. So I'm just going to round this one up to half a unit. I'm going to go ahead and lock this one in on Caesars, but this is just going to be a half unit play for me. So let me go to Caesars. I need receiving yards. I'm looking for Darren Waller under. Perfect. This is going to be a half unit play. And this one has been locked in for half a unit. Darren Waller under 47.5 receiving yards. So this next one, I can close these out. Let me add this one to my bet tracker as well. Incredibly important to track your bets. So that is my second player prop, the Darren Waller one. The next one that I was looking at is this Irv Smith under 26.5 receiving yards. He had a good week 2. He had a disappointing weeks 1 and 3. He also had a pretty bad drop in weeks 2 and 3 as well. So I can understand this one if you want to look at his stats. You just type in Irv Smith, receiving yards. Okay, so I was wrong. He missed it in game 1 and he hit it in games 2 and 3. And the games 2 and 3 was when he had those horrible drops. Against game 2, specifically against the Eagles, he dropped like a wide open touchdown pass. He had another bad drop last week, but he did go over this number. So I was wrong there. He's gone over in 1 of the 3 games. But again, going up against a good defense in the Vikings, unsurprisingly, the 2 games he has gone over this amount. Justin Jefferson hasn't done anything. They'll probably try to get Justin Jefferson going, you would imagine, in this game after having the worst game in his literal career. And same thing here. No vig line, minus 102. We locked it in. We're going to lock it in. I haven't yet on Caesars at minus 101. And just same exact logic here. I don't mean to repeat the same stuff over again, but just look at where every other book is pricing it at. Now, I'm locking in 4 player props. Every single one that I'm locking in is the favored outcome on every other book except for Caesars. I might not go 4-0. I hope to go 4-0, but if you're consistently placing bets with this type of logic where you're just betting on an outlier compared to every other book, I can assure you it will be profitable in the long run. So in this case, every other book, DraftKings minus 120, over at minus 110. Tipico, minus 115 each way, basically having it at 50-50, so they're the only one that isn't favoring the under. And then Pinnacle, same thing, minus 118, over at minus 112. If we want to look at this one in a new tab, we will see the same thing that we have been seeing, where the other books that price it, in this case is PrizePicks, has it a half yard or a full yard lower at 25.5, telling you that the most likely, or that they telling you that they think his over-under should be priced lower than what we are getting it at on Caesars. So again, I'm going to go to Caesars, lock this one in for half a unit. We got Irv Smith under 26.5 receiving yards, half unit play for me. Place bet, perfect. This is my third out of 4 bets that I have locked in. You did see that one locked in, Irv Smith under. I was locked in. So that is my third play. Let me add this one to my bet tracker as well. Click save. And now the fourth and final one, although I will check out this Devin Duvernay one because this one has popped up since I've been recording, is Antonio Gibson over 56.5 rushing yards. Same logic here. The only book that disagrees is DraftKings at -105. Every other book has it as the most likely scenario, or at least 50-50. BetMGM, -115, -110. Tipico, we talked about, they have it at 50-50. And then Pinnacle, over at -118, under at -112. DraftKings still, even though they're favoring the under as the more likely scenario, they still have it priced closer to the other books at -105. So this +106 is the only book that is giving it to you for above plus money at +106. Again, we can open this up in a new tab. So in this case, the other book that prices it, there is one book that prices it lower, Prize Picks at 54.5, and then we see Underdog at 57.5. So this one is still a good value. It's not quite the same level in terms of literally every other book having it priced differently, but if we just look at the value here, it's still a good play. And Gibson has been good for Washington so far this year. If you want to look at his stats, he had a rough game against the Eagles, but he had a ton of work. The offense couldn't get anything going. He hit this total in week 1. In week 4, they're going to need to get their offense going after a horrible showing against the Eagles. Dallas, their run defense isn't as good as their pass defense. Like their defensive line is a very good rushing the quarterback defensive line. They're not as good of a run stopping unit as the Eagles one is. So I like Gibson to go over this amount. They're using him a lot. He's still their starter until Brian Robinson comes back. So this is going to be my fourth and possibly final play on Antonio Gibson over 56.5 rushing yards. Bet has been locked in. As soon as it shows up, there we go. 56.5 rushing yards. Let me add this one to my bet tracker at $50. And I'm just going to leave it at that as those 4 plays. Claypool over 38.5. These are all receiving yards. Waller under 47.5. Irv Smith under 26.5. And then the last one, Antonio Gibson over 56.5 rushing yards. And that's it. So I know this was a longer video. Appreciate you guys sticking with me. If you're tailing all of these bets, let me know. I'd love to hear it. But that's it. So I'll let you go. So thanks for watching and have a good one.